Have you ever spent a whole day replaying one small moment in your head? A sarcastic comment in a meeting, a family member snapping at you, a stranger's rude message online. Your body tightens, your chest feels hot. You stare at the same sentence again and again and feel smaller every time. It's exhausting when one careless sentence from someone else can hijack your inner world. You start asking yourself, what's wrong with me? And the more you think about it, the heavier it feels. But the truth is, other people don't control your inner life unless you hand them the keys. If you could stop taking things personally, what would change? Imagine hearing the same words, feeling the sting, and still staying clear enough to choose your response. Imagine breathing once, checking the situation, and answering from a steady place instead of from a storm. Imagine ending the day with a quiet mind instead of a long list of imagined attacks. This isn't about becoming numb, but about becoming more awake and less reactive. It's not about pretending that words don't hurt, but about not letting every word own your nervous system. Your life is finite. Your time, energy, and attention aren't endless. Every time you replay an insult for hours, you're spending a piece of your one short life on it. So the real question is simple. Does this moment deserve your time, your breath, your heart rate? In this video, we'll explore 6 Stoic practices to step back from other people's judgments and protect your own inner space. When you practice them, you pause, you notice, you reframe, and you start to protect your energy instead of leaking it everywhere. Over time, you move through work, home, and online spaces with emotional control, not emotional chaos. This isn't about becoming cold, but about staying kind while keeping your boundaries. Not about ignoring people, but about responding from self-respect instead of from wounded pride. Stoicism becomes very practical here. It's emotional control turned into daily habits. When this lesson ends, you'll have 6 clear ways to stop taking things so personally, and one simple question at the end that you can carry into every difficult moment. Stay with me until the last practice, because that final question can reset your perspective in seconds. Now let's begin with the first practice. Lens check practice 1. Lens check. You're having a calm morning. Soft light on your desk, the quiet hum of a computer, coffee still warm in your hand. Then a message pops up. This report is confusing. No greeting, no smiley, just the sentence. Your stomach drops, your jaw tightens, your mind starts racing. Do they think I'm stupid? Did I mess everything up? The inner voice gets louder. Why do they always talk to me like this? But the truth is, the comment is a line of text. The story around it comes from your lens, not from the screen, but from the meaning you put on the screen. It isn't their words alone that hurt you, but the filter you look through without noticing. Because of that, the first Stoic move is to check the lens, not the sentence. From here, it helps to see that the outside world will always send mixed signals, and your power begins with how you look at them. Picture wearing glasses with a dark tint. Everything looks colder, harsher, more threatening. You still see the same shapes and faces, but the colors are different. The comment, "This report is confusing," becomes, "You are incompetent," as soon as it passes through that tint. You can't stop every sharp word, but you can notice the lens that turns neutral feedback into a personal attack, not "the world is against me." But right now, my lens is set to attack mode. So the quiet move is this. Before you judge the person, check the glasses you're wearing in your mind. As a bridge into this, remember what Marcus Aurelius wrote. If you are distressed by anything external, the pain is not due to the thing itself, but to your estimate of it. Think about being left on read after a message, or a teammate giving you short answers all afternoon. The situation is the same, but when your inner story is, "They hate me," your day collapses. When your story is, "I don't know yet what this means," there's space to breathe. Lens check means recognizing that your estimate, your inner commentary, is optional and changeable. You can choose, "I will treat this as data, not as a verdict on my worth." You choose to see the message as information to work with instead of a label on your identity. Now imagine a different moment. You send an idea in a group chat. No one reacts for 10 minutes. The old reflex says, "They're ignoring me again." The new lens says, "They might be busy or thinking or away from the screen right now." By asking, "What lens am I wearing?" you give your nervous system a little space. The heat drops one level. The day softens. The reason this approach works is simple. You don't experience the world directly. You experience your interpretation first. Not controlling every event, but recognizing your lens is how you take your power back. You don't have to blame yourself for feeling hurt, but you can own the lens that keeps the hurt alive. Let's turn this principle into something you can actually do in the moment. When you feel triggered, Step 1. Pause and breathe slowly once or twice. Step 2. Silently ask, "What story am I adding on top of the facts?" Step 3. Replace "they're attacking me" with "this is feedback or behavior I'll decide how to respond to." When you practice these 3 small moves, you start catching the lens before it darkens your whole day. Now imagine walking through the same day with the same people. But each time you get a short comment or delayed reply, you quietly ask, "What lens am I using right now?" Short messages still come. Busy colleagues still forget to respond. Family members still send rushed texts. But something important has changed. The weight of each moment is lighter. Because you know the lens is yours to adjust, you can keep wearing the darkest filter, or you can choose a clearer one and protect your peace instead. Next, let's look at a practice that shifts focus from you to what might be happening inside them. Their stress signal practice 2. Their stress signal. You're sitting at the dinner table, plates on the surface, cutlery quietly touching ceramic. You make a small comment about the day. The other person snaps back with a sharp tone. You feel cut open in 1 second. Your chest tightens again. Your mind says, "Why are they always so harsh with me?" The inner question lands, "What did I do wrong this time?" But the truth is, their tone often says more about their stress than about your worth. Not every raised voice is a verdict on you. It's not always, "They're attacking me," but sometimes they're leaking their tension into the room. From this angle, you begin to see that other people's words are often stress signals, not final judgments written in stone. Think of a smoke alarm. It screams whenever there's smoke, not because it hates the room, but because something inside its system was triggered. You wouldn't argue with the alarm or ask, "Why do you hate this kitchen so much?" You'd check the pan, the oven, the wires. Other people are often like that when they're overwhelmed. Their system screams. Their words become sharp. The content feels personal, but the origin is their overload. Not "they've decided I'm worthless," but "they're not regulating themselves well right now." To anchor this, remember Epictetus. It's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters. A boss sending a rushed, blunt message at 11 p.m., a friend replying with one cold sentence after a long day. The event is their outburst. Your power is how you frame it and how you answer. Their stress signal means you stop reading every sharp word as a clear mirror of your value. You treat it as information. Their system is on fire. I'll decide how close I stand to that fire. Now imagine a workday. You present a small update in a meeting. Your manager says, "Why didn't you think of this earlier?" in front of everyone. Old habit, your body shrinks, your inner voice screams, "I am so stupid." New habit, your mind quietly notes, "They're under pressure and not handling it well." The way they spoke says more about their stress than about my place here. You still feel the sting, you're still human. But your inner story is different, and that difference changes how long the sting lasts. The value here is straightforward. When you see other people's behavior as their stress signal, you stop making every wave in their mood into a judgment on your soul. Not excusing disrespect, but understanding context so you can choose a response that fits your standards. Not absorbing every emotion in the room, but noticing, naming, and then deciding where your line is. So how do you live this in practice? When someone speaks harshly, step 1, mentally name what you see. They sound rushed, stressed, or overwhelmed. Step 2, remind yourself, this tone reveals their state, not my value. Step 3, respond as someone who respects both yourself and the situation, maybe by slowing your words, asking for clarity, or choosing to pause the conversation. Picture the same evenings, the same meetings, the same text threads. People will still have bad days. They'll still forget to regulate themselves. But you'll feel less like a sponge and more like an observer who gets to choose how much of that energy you let in. You begin to see clearly, this is their weather, and my inner climate is my responsibility. From there, we can move to a practice that goes even deeper into the stories you tell yourself about what happens. Practice 3. Replace story. The day looks normal. You're doing your tasks. Background sounds, small notifications, a steady pace. Then you see a colleague talking with your manager. They glance toward you and then look away. A quiet wave of heat runs through your body. Your mind spins up a familiar script. They're complaining about me. I must have done something wrong again. The question appears inside your chest. Why am I always the problem? But the truth is, the event is neutral. The story you attach is what hurts you. Not the glance itself, but the narrative you build around the glance. To ground this, listen to Seneca's line. We suffer more often in imagination than in reality. Think of seeing no reply to a message for hours or hearing 2 co-workers laugh after you leave a room. In seconds, your mind can write a dark story that has no evidence, only fear. Replace story means you notice the old script and consciously write a different, more grounded one. Instead of, "They're attacking me behind my back," you choose, "I don't know what they're talking about. I won't fill the gap with poison." Imagine walking through your day carrying this principle. You get a short answer from a friend. Old story. They're bored of me. New story. They might be tired. I can ask later if something is wrong. You hear your name mentioned in another room. Old story. They're judging me. New story. They might also be praising me. I actually don't know yet. The value here is profound. You stop treating every fear-based story as a fact. Not lying to yourself, but refusing to worship your first anxious interpretation. Not avoiding reality, but choosing to wait for more data before sentencing yourself to turn this into action. Begin with awareness. When you feel that inner spiral, step 1, say in your mind, "This is a story, not the only truth." Step 2, write or think an alternative story that's neutral or generous, even if you don't fully believe it yet. Step 3, decide to act based on facts you actually have, not on fantasies that hurt you. When you live like this, Your imagination stops being a weapon against you and slowly becomes a tool that serves you. With this foundation, we can move to a more direct, practical move. Instead of guessing, you can ask. So the next practice is, ask for specifics. Practice 4. Ask for specifics. You receive a message. Your attitude lately is a bit off. No examples, no details, just the sentence. Your heart rate jumps, you stare at the words. Your mind floods with every mistake from the past month. The inner voice whispers, I must be a terrible person. They finally see it. But the truth is, vague criticism gives your fear endless room to expand. Not because the words are accurate, but because you're left alone to imagine what they mean. Here, a different Stoic move appears. Instead of choking on a foggy judgment, you calmly ask for clarity. Recall Epictetus again. When someone is properly grounded in life, they should not have to look outside themselves for approval. Grounding yourself includes seeking clear information when something feels off. You don't beg, please like me. You simply ask, can you tell me what you mean, with 1 or 2 specific examples? Think of a manager saying, clients are unhappy, or a partner saying, you never listen. The words unhappy and never are huge, heavy, and vague. Ask for specifics means you bring the conversation down from abstract judgment to concrete behavior. Suddenly, instead of, you're bad, the discussion becomes, yesterday when you did X, it made Y harder for me. You can work with that. Picture a meeting where someone says, your communication is a problem. Old response, silent shame, hours of overthinking, maybe tears later. New response, a calm sentence. Could you give me 1 or 2 examples so I can understand and improve? This shifts the dynamic. You're no longer a passive target, you become a responsible participant who's willing to look at reality. The value here is clear. Specific feedback can be tested, discussed, and acted on. Vague judgment just sits on your chest, not, I accept every vague label. But, I'm open to specific, concrete feedback I can actually do something with. Not, I'm at the mercy of any sentence thrown at me. But, I'll engage only with what's clear enough to learn from. Now we move to an even deeper layer. What you stand on inside, even when others don't see it. That's where the next practice lives. Recenter values. Practice 5. Recenter values. You finish a long day. You kept your word. You did your best with the time and energy you had. Then someone says, honestly, I expected more from you. No context, just the sentence, landing like a stone in your stomach. The inner voice starts again. Maybe I'm not enough. Maybe they're right. But the truth is, you can't build a stable life on the unstable approval of others. Not if you want to feel steady when the wind changes. Here, Marcus offers another anchor. You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength. Your mind includes the values you choose to live by. Honesty, consistency, kindness, responsibility. Recenter values means you return your attention to the standards you're committed to, not every passing comment about you. You ask, did I act in line with my values today? If the answer is yes, you rest in that. If the answer is no, you adjust your actions, not your worth. Imagine someone criticizes your work style because you refuse to stay online all night. From their view, you're not dedicated. From your values, you're protecting your health and your ability to show up long-term. You can't always control what people think of you. You can control what you build your life on, not building your identity on applause, but on the quiet knowledge that you acted with integrity. In practice, when criticism arrives, step 1, breathe and quietly ask, what value was I trying to honor here? Step 2. If you were aligned with your values, let their words be information, not a verdict. Step 3. If you stepped away from your values, thank the feedback for pointing that out and adjust your actions. When you live from this center, every comment becomes either a mirror showing alignment or a reminder to realign. The comment doesn't define you. Your response does. Now we can move to the final practice, the one that ties everything to your limited time on this planet. Let it pass. Practice 6. Let it pass. The day is almost over. You're tired. Scroll, scroll, scroll. Then you see it. A cutting comment under your post. Unfair, unkind, completely missing your intention. Your body reacts instantly. You want to write 3 paragraphs defending yourself. You want to prove you're a good person. Inside, a voice shouts, "They can't talk about me like that." But the truth is, many things don't deserve a reply because they don't deserve your life, your minutes, your heartbeats, your sleep. Remember Seneca again. As long as you live, keep learning how to live. Part of learning how to live is learning what to ignore. Let it pass isn't weakness. It's a deliberate choice to let small, petty, or bad faith attacks die without your oxygen. You see the comment, you feel the sting. Then you tell yourself, this is not where my life is going. Right here, the memento mori perspective becomes very real. You won't be here forever. Your days are numbered, even if you don't know the number. Do you really want to spend this evening feeding an argument with a stranger who doesn't care about you? When you let some things pass, you're not saying, this was okay. You're saying, I won't spend my short life wrestling in this mud. So in practice, when you face a small or low-quality attack, step 1, name it. This is not worth my life force. Step 2, close the tab, put the phone down, or move your attention to something aligned with your values. Step 3, if needed, repeat in your mind. I choose where my attention lives. I don't rent it out to every insult. Then imagine your life, week after week, with this habit that the same rude comments still exist in the world. The same careless people still appear. But you're different. You're someone who knows the price of attention and spends it with care. Bit by bit, your days become lighter. Not because the world became kinder, but because you stopped paying full price for every opinion. So we come back to the core. You learn to check the lens before believing the story. You learn to see other people's outbursts as stress signals, not always as final judgments on you. You learn to replace fearful stories, ask for clear specifics, recenter on your own values, and let some things pass completely. All of this is practice, not perfection. These aren't theories to admire for a moment. They're tools you can use every day at work, at home, and online. This way of living isn't about suppressing emotion, but about separating feeling from reaction. Not about becoming cold or unreachable, but about responding from clarity instead of from raw hurt. In the end, the principle is simple. You may not choose every event, but you always have some choice in how you respond. That choice, repeated over time, becomes your character. If you want a simple checklist to carry with you, let it be this. Check your lens, remember their stress, and choose whether this deserves your life. Every time you pause instead of reacting, you move one small step closer to the person you want to be. Every time you let a small insult pass without swallowing it, you reclaim a piece of your day. If this spoke to you, share it with someone who's always hard on themselves, someone who takes every word as a wound. And if you have your own ways of staying calm under criticism, write them down or share them, so others can learn too. Thank you for spending this time caring for your inner life. This is a process, not a destination, and you're already on the path. Until next time, keep your days for what truly matters, and keep your inner space as a place you'd be proud to live in.